Hey guys, it's the Friction here. Welcome back to World of Tanks. We're not gonna have a very long intro, but I have a little video for you guys that I wanted to do a while now. I just really didn't have the time to make any videos in the last couple of weeks, so I apologize for the lack of uploading. But having put that out of the way, we can now focus on this video. So the topic, as you might have already read from the title, is artillery. And if you know anything about my World of Tanks story, you know that I barely touched artillery. I have been very biased against artillery, and you can see that out of the 41,951 games I played, only 1,724 games have been with artillery. That's still plenty of games in my personal opinion, but if you compare it to the other tank types I played, you can see artillery ranks least played, and thus pretty much my least favorite class. So why the sudden turnaround? Why am I now making a World of Tanks video about artillery? Am I now just taking the piss? Am I just, not taking this serious anymore? No, that's not the only reason. No, actually, I've had a very interesting talk with an artillery player 2 months ago. He played the M55-53, which is a tier 9 American artillery piece. Very good artillery piece, I think, at least. A lot of players really enjoyed it when it first came out. And it turned out that he had 3-marked that artillery. And I at first told him that he was disgusting in a playful manner, but the thing is, I actually was really impressed, because getting an artillery 3-marked must be one of the most frustrating things that you can undertake in World of Tanks, because there is so much going against you. RNG is so random, and with artillery it's so annoying. You will have a horrible time. At least that's what I'm thinking. So my thought was, are we all shitting on artillery while artillery is like the most annoying class to play and the most boring class to play as well? And we're still shitting on them while they don't have any more of a big impact? But sometimes you see those games where artillery really does well, right? And usually those are the longer type games. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to try it out. I'm going to go into this without any biases. We're going to be playing 3 tier 8 artillery pieces, because these are the only ones I have currently in my garage that have equipment on them. I have only played the Lorraine 155 once. The FV is still completely stock. As you can see, I don't even have the 6-pounder gun here. And basically, the equipment and the crew training is very random, to be fair. And you can see already from this entire, setup, I do not value artillery all too much. Now, what is it like if you play artillery like this? The one tank that I'm going to be fairly confident in is the M40-43. And I do know artillery plays a lot differently than when you have it set up the right way, or if you do not have it set up the right way. But as you can see right here, we're going to be playing artillery how I envision artillery should be played. But I obviously am not holding, the title of knowing what artillery is like to be played, because I have barely played artillery. So it's basically a player who's very uncomfortable in playing artillery. One of the main reasons why I don't play artillery is because of the fact that I have the feeling that you barely contribute to the match. If it's a short game, if your team steamrolls them, and it only really does something when you get into those matches where you actually have a longer game, where you can have a little bit of an impact. And to be fair, with RNG, so many different factors that combine in these random games, like what kind of vehicles you're going up against, if you are able to pen or not, if you're able to hit them, if RNG is playing with you, there are a lot of unknowns, a lot of questions, and maybe that's like the fascination about artillery, not knowing what you might get, right? So like it might tickle the nerves of those players who just don't care. They just want to see something happen, and they might want to get surprised, because I think artillery is pretty fascinating in that way. Either way, we're going to be jumping in first game with the M4043. This is an artillery piece that I have played the most with my T92 HMC. One of the really annoying things with artillery is I think they are extremely expensive to play effectively, because you kind of have to use, gasoline, and you have to kind of use premium consumables. That already kind of increases the spending level. Maybe you don't need gasoline, but it's always nice to have like better engine power when you have to run away or something like that. One thing I've learned while playing artillery, but that was from the very start, you should always care about where you're going. You should always care about repositioning once you fired, because back in the days, you were really easily able to spot incoming artillery rounds. That has returned to World Tanks, which I think is a nice change. Makes artillery a bit more, I'm not sure, I wouldn't say skill-based, but it would need more, you need more knowledge to be more effective. Or you need to adapt. So, what do we have here? One thing that I really dislike about artillery, whenever anyone plays artillery, right, is the fact that I just hit a building there. I didn't know that I could hit that building there. No. The fact that quite a few players like to shoot lightly armored vehicles, because the chances of penning is much higher than, shooting the top heavies. But to be fair, I already am running into my first problem here. I don't really know which part of the map to support. This might just be my lack of awareness, or just generally my lack of skill with artillery pieces, because I have the feeling the middle really needs some help now, and I want to hit this juicy M4190 GF if he does come out of his little shell here, which I think he will do again. He's going to peek again. Like, there is no way this guy's going to turn down a free hit on the Jagdtiger 88. But it kind of shows you another awkward scenario where you're kind of aiming at one spot for a long time while other flanks are kind of failing. So yeah, we're gonna refocus here our attention to the heavies that are currently fighting and actually taking a forward position. It's kind of interesting because I obviously have played artillery. It's not like I'm completely a novice at playing artillery, but it still shows you, like, if I would be playing a light tank or a medium tank, I kind of know what I would be doing right now. And with artillery, I kind of have to think more, I have to think harder about my choices, and it kind of shows that you have less training. And that's quite fascinating, because artillery, in theory, oh, right there's the M4190 GF. Oh, he just maneuvered himself into a position where he might get an arty shell up his butt. No! Yeah, it was a badly aimed shot. I agree. And now we have a Turtle MK1 in a very precarious situation. As you can see, we haven't done any damage at all. Only a 63 damage splash shot. And one thing I have noticed is that I should probably focus more on, like, maybe a couple of targets instead of like several at once, and kind of stick to like one position. I'm going to try my luck with this T25 pilot. Okay, I hope that I was going to be able to save the Turtle one right there, but sadly the reload was just not rapid enough. But as you can see, there is still some merit to be had. There is still some fun to be had if you like to pen things, because the T-25 pilot on its side does not have enough armor, at least on its engine deck, to bounce 52mm rounds. So that's why we managed to pen that vehicle, and our full damage potential would be like 900. So that was an easy kill right there. Okay, it looks like a pretty clear-cut situation right now. Our team is pushing very aggressively. Getting a shot on this Burask would be great, because this Burask is kind of annoying our teammates quite aggressively. Oh. I maybe could have taken a shot, but I was not sure if I was going to be hitting him or not. I'm going to check down here without actually turning my tank around, but we have a RHM that looks like a very juicy target. And we have to be kind of cautious, because we do not want to be complacent now and lose this match. But there is also... the Burask has reappeared. He is reloading and he's running away. The one thing I notice whenever you're playing artillery is basically, whenever you have a target, you switch to that target, the target immediately disappears, right? So you kind of have to be fast. You cannot be as slow as I am, like a sloth. I feel like I'm completely... I'm in the wrong place, in the wrong world. Okay, right there. There we go. I'm probably not going to get the kill, but we can get some assistance damage right there. Okay. That means we still have the Burask. Oh, poor S1. That S1 just tracked him, did 0 damage. But he should be able to kill him now. You know, take all the time you need. Secure that kill, and now we can clean up the rest of the enemy team. I'm not sure if I can lob a shell over this hill. That was one of the main reasons why I went for the British artillery pieces later on, just to see if I was going to be able to, you know, dip some shells over ridge lines and little mountains. That's something you were able to do in the T-92, but not as well as with the British ones. They are more like mortars instead of like artillery pieces. That was a bit too close. Okay, it took 4 seconds because that target is so far away. But as you can see, like, I'm not sure if it's my lack of skill. Probably it's a combination of several factors. I think it's lack of skill. It's the lack of understanding on how to really utilize an artillery effectively. The constant switching of targets and not being ready to fire immediately when you are loaded, and thus the very low output of damage. So I would say a skilled artillery player in this scenario would have probably had more damage, would have probably had like a better focus on targets, and had the shells like lined up. But it's still kind of interesting for me because, I mean, you know, it's not like it was the best game, but it was still a win. We're going to jump into the FV, and this one is a bit special because I think all of a sudden you lose a lot of the alpha damage that you had with the M4043, so you have a lot of splash potential, while now you're playing the FV, and the FV has that arc, the firing arc, which also means that the travel time should be longer, but it lacks the clear damage potential that the M4043 had. So I think if we manage to focus on the targets faster, if we have a little bit of a focus on maybe a part of the map, and we always are ready to fire as soon as we are loaded, we might get a lot more out of our artillery. So, you know, it's still kind of a learning curve, but I have to be honest, it's not the most exhilarating gameplay. I can't, even if I'm unbiased, I still have the feeling that it's pretty straightforward, and it's not as entertaining as if I was sitting in a light tank or a medium tank or a heavy tank or even a tank destroyer, because I feel like I'm more in control. I don't even know where you're supposed to go in artillery on this map. Are you supposed to go over to A1 and A2? Or are you supposed to stay at like A6 or something like that? I'm not sure if I actually have the ability to fire all the way over to the other side of the map. Nope, yeah, you can do that even with a stock gun. And the reload time has decreased significantly, as you can see. It's about 12 seconds shorter, but also about almost 350 less damage that you do with this thing. Okay, we probably should not be on a slope. We either go all the way up here or we stay down here. But that looks like it's not a very good place to stay. So this is where I'm actually quite happy to have, you know, a little bit of gasoline. Gives me plus 5% to engine power, which does allow me to be more mobile. But as you can see, I've already lost like a lot of time getting into position, and this game has already gone on for almost 2 minutes now. Now the beauty about the British artillery pieces should be that I am going to be able to hit this Indian Panzer. If everything goes right, it wasn't a lot of damage, but it was a stun, so, you know, if somebody hits him, we're going to get some assistance damage there. As you can see, somebody hit him. He lost a bit of HP. And I wanted to support these guys, but I don't think they need artillery support. It would just be annoying. One of the very annoying features that I've realized in World of Tanks is the absolute ignorance of certain arty players to the fact that they do stun you. You know, if you're in a fight with somebody, that they can stun you, and it's really annoying when you get stunned by friendly artillery. And when they miss the target, which was supposed to be like the enemy right in front of you, and they kind of splash you at the back, and you lose like, I don't know, 50% of your ability to fight back, while the other guy has the ability to still, you know, be kind of combat effective. Okay, we're trying to kill the Lorraine 155, 51. He is still probably in this corner here, but I have the feeling that putting some pressure on this Indian to allow this this Bourrasque to actually take this position here is maybe more important. But yeah, I just fired while the Indian Panzer moved forward. Oh, but we still got the assistance there. The one thing I like about artillery, where I can be very straightforward with you guys, is the fact that you have the bird's eye view. You have a great understanding of the map. You have a great understanding of the plays that might just occur. But generally speaking, you know, if you cannot really take part in the action, it still kind of feels irrelevant. I've once again chosen the wrong targets. You know, I'm trying to hit tanks that are on the move. I'm making it way too confusing and way too what should you call it? Too complicated on myself. I should probably just focus on the VK here, because that is a general target I'm going to be able to hit. But you know, doing like 42 damage doesn't tickle my doesn't tickle anything in my body. It's a bit of an annoying nuisance where we might just, you know, get some assistance. Okay, I hope I can lob it behind. Yeah, right there. Okay, at least this time around it was almost 200 damage. But we're going to switch to target once more. And we're just going to hope that these guys pile on the VK and maybe put another shot into him so that we get some assistance damage. Because that might just be the way that it was intended for artillery to be played nowadays. You're not supposed to be the damage dealing class. You're just supposed to be the annoying little one with the, you know, with the stun mechanic. But at the same time, it feels kind of, I personally think it feels, okay, let's see if we actually get this guy. Nope, we didn't get him. It feels very unsatisfying, very dissatisfying. I'm not sure, unsatisfying, dissatisfying to play. It feels like it's just like, okay, you might get the assistance damage. Yes, you might have helped your team by kind of lowering their ability or their combat effectiveness. But at the same time, you don't really have the feeling that you're impacting, or you have like a big impact on the game. I might be playing the wrong artillery pieces. I might not be playing them the right way. And I also might just not know enough about artillery to be really effective, as I mentioned prior. But I am trying. I'm trying to be open, but it kind of feels pretty bland. I should maybe just wait until this guy stays there. Is he staying? He's kind of staying. I'm not sure if that... No, that was a miss, but still we're getting some assistance damage there. I'm not sure if this thing is more enjoyable, fully upgraded. It probably is. The gun isn't that much of an upgrade though. It goes from a 5.5 inch gun to a... I think to a 6.0 inch gun or a 6 inch gun. Okay, sad. That wasn't a hit. But hey, you know what? We got some assistance damage. We barely did any damage ourselves. But we still got some assistance damage. But it kind of shows to me that in these 2 games that I played so far, doing damage in artillery is incredibly difficult, even when you have time to aim. You need to have the timing down perfectly, in my opinion. That probably means that you need to have somewhat of a, an understanding on how to play the specific artillery piece. And if you're playing random artillery pieces that you haven't played before, where you don't really know or are able to gauge distance, and you don't have the right equipment, the right skills, you're just going to be on the wrong foot immediately from the start. Which obviously makes sense, because if your tank is like really well maintained, you have the right equipment, you have the right crew set up, I think you're going to be able to do quite a bit more. But the question is, how much more can you do than what I did right there in the M4043? Because if you hit something with that kind of gun, for example, that 5.5 inch gun that I used on the FV, I don't think you would get that many more... You wouldn't get higher damage numbers, I think, personally speaking, unless you actually hit those really weakly armored tanks, which in my personal humble opinion is obviously harder, yes, but at the same time it also goes against the idea of artillery, to stun targets so that you guys, the team can actually engage them without having to fear their ability to fight back. If that makes any sense. I think that's how they envisioned artillery to be with the update that they placed on artillery a long time ago. Because if you shoot a light tank, right, everyone can hurt a light tank. It's like one of the only places where you can reliably probably penetrate with your artillery shell and get these like endorphins and the big damage numbers that you're seeking and you're kind of asking for. But yeah, I mean, it still kind of is art to hit those targets, like exactly how you have to hit them. Okay, so well, ELC even 90, he is covering this alleyway. Okay, we're gonna try to actually hit this guy. I'm not even sure if we're actually able to hit these guys. Okay, that actually wasn't a bad... Nah, it still is kind of a bad return, to be fair. We're gonna reposition real fast, just move back a bit, just in case if the enemy artillery is in counter battery mode, that we can, get away from that. We're gonna run into a problem pretty soon because we only have 1 tank in the heavy tank alley, and it's the Peregrine. So as soon as this guy is actually going to be spotting something... Okay, that one was very short. That was not a very well placed shot. But to be fair, I'm kind of mixing around with the firing modes a bit too much, maybe. So I should probably stick to one or only use it when it's absolutely necessary. I think I think it's better this way here. I know that CS-53 is not a very good tank in terms of armor and armor thickness. So we should probably be able to do some damage if he moves further up. Okay, there we go. We're going to switch targets because our heavy Peregrine will need some help there. And I think it's only a matter of time until they realize that the left side of the map is pretty bare and it's pretty open. There's an ELC even 90 there, and he is worrying me a bit. Skoda T56. Now the question is, what is the better target to shoot? Now I think the VK should be focused just because of the fact that he is, you know, lower in HP, but I don't think the Peregrine is able to hit the VK, so I just went for the Skoda because, yeah, Skoda is probably way more dangerous than the VK, and in a position like that, I think Skoda can do several thousand HP worth of damage if, you know, the player is able to actually play the tank to its strengths. With this VK, he's playing a fine line. He exactly knows how far he can go and like where the limitations lie. We're gonna go try the 1815. Okay, that is probably one of the most frustrating things to happen when you're playing artillery, that your shell bounces. A high explosive shell at that. You know, this is not just any kind of shell. This is a high explosive shell with, you know, 150 caliber gun. So you at least expect to do some splashing damage, but generally speaking, that's probably a pretty bad target to go after. Our team is cleaning up the other side though, so maybe we should help them out here. No, we don't have to hit the charioteer. No, not the charioteer, the Vipera. But we could help out with the charioteer, because that is a very dangerous vehicle. Okay, let's get that one off. You know, at least splash him. He has used his medkit. And as you can see, it actually is a pretty interesting fight right now. And once again, as an artillery piece, I'm unable to really have a massive impact on this fight. This charioteer, I'm going to focus on this charioteer right now because he seems to be a good player and he seems to be pretty dangerous. So, yeah, if we can take him out of the game, that's exactly where artillery comes in pretty handy, because in the end, it's still a pretty big gun that you have at your disposal. A high explosive shell that can still kill, especially if a target is like really low in terms of HP, and you can basically just finish off any of the remaining targets. But kind of means that your damage numbers, as you can see in the bottom left of the screen, are just not that entertaining. They're just not that exciting. You know, it's fine. It is gameplay, yes. It is a certain way of playing, like a little bit of a support role, but at the same time, your support only works if the targets do shoot the tank that you splash. And if you're kind of just going for raw damage, I think it's not very fulfilling. Yeah, but I think that artillery has always kind of been like a hit or miss, which is kind of like a pun. No pun intended. We're going to play one final game in the M4043. So the final game we're going to be playing is on the map Siegfried Line with the M4043. And I have to be honest, after 3 matches of artillery and now a 4th one, I almost have enough of artillery. I have enough of all tanks. And to be fair, it just shows that I'm not going to be friends with artillery in probably ever. I'm never going to be able to kind of get used to the idea that you can do damage with artillery, or that artillery can be a reliable class to play. And I think that's completely fine, because I don't have to like everything, and you know, it doesn't have to always be for me, personally. It just shows me that there needs to be a certain level of respect to certain players who enjoy artillery, because the only thing I kind of enjoyed was one-shotting one of the tanks, which was the the T-25, the pilot. Other than that, artillery is just not a lot of fun. Maybe I've played it wrong. I am going to be loading one damage dealing high explosive shell just to, you know, figure it out. We're gonna see if we can actually kill this AMBT. What is he trying to do? He's trying to cross over. Okay, you know what? 124 damage, we'll take it. We're gonna load a damage dealing high explosive shell just to see if there is any difference while we go with this. We do have 200 HP more alpha damage, which, yeah, I mean, we'll take that. I just saw an artillery round flying in from somewhere over here. But to be fair, I don't really feel like counter-battering right now, unless I see something immediately right now. But since we saw it just a couple of seconds ago, I don't think that anyone is going to be firing from there again. What kind of targets do we have? I know, you know, if you want to be a very effective artillery, you should probably move around the map. You should utilize the ability to, you know, change positions, but at the same time, since these maps are pretty restrictive in the way that how they handle movement or the alleyways you can go to, it kind of shows that it doesn't really matter. If you move, you would lose, I think, generally speaking, a lot of precious time to where you could actually be firing shots like these and kill the T-26E5. I'm going to reposition because it looks like my team doesn't really care too much about the zero line. I've had a lot of different encounters where the zero line did become a bit of a problem, especially if there's a ELC even 90 rushing through there, which I have seen happen several times before. So I'm just going to be a bit more cautious. Okay, there's a Japanese TD. Oh, hitting that Scorpion would be a very, very nice thing, because I think it's still only 65 millimeters of penetration, right? Okay, I get that. But at the same time, you know, probably would be plenty of damage. Okay, I'm gonna fire one shot right here. Oh yeah, another thing, maybe if you play artillery, since you cannot play artillery in a platoon anymore, which I understand, because if you do focus in an artillery and you have a spotter, you have a light tank, you have another artillery piece, you can basically wipe out quite a few tanks fairly easily in comparison to other classes, because you're not restricted by, you know, the range. You can basically engage anything, and if you have a really skilled scout, you can be highly effective. That's the way how I used to play my platoons a very long time ago. And it looks like we both missed the ISU 152K, because the ISU 152K did manage to move out of the way. I mean, I get it, you know, the square or the circle or whatever, the oval shape. I know it's pretty large, you know, but it's still so frustrating when the shot just completely misses the target with this very long reload. We are somewhat fortunate though that this game does go longer than other games that we have played so far, and that this is kind of an open map. There are several tanks and targets that we can shoot that are out in the open, but at the same time, you know, cover still kind of is there, and you have to be... You're not able to constantly fire, which makes your damage output just that much more tragic in the end, sadly. Looks like this WZ is going to push this Scorpion G. If it does have high explosive shell loaded, it is going to be really nasty. Oh yeah, it's a really nasty shot. Right in the face of the Scorpion. But it looks like the WZ is on his own. He's not going to get a lot of assistance there. I'm going to reposition my tank real fast so that we can actually hit that BZ, because that BZ does feel pretty safe there. But as soon as we are in the field and we are a bit more, you know, looking at him from directly in front of him, I think we might just be a bit more of a problem for this guy. Okay, we're going to turn our tank. There's something in the way. Okay, there's like a... No, I actually clicked. Ah, that's also another very annoying thing. If you're a player like me and you misclick, holy crap, is it annoying. Okay, there's the TVP. That TVP should not be... He should not be living for long. Yeah, that Burask is gonna finish him off. We're gonna see if we can shift our focus to something else. This time around we can actually hit the BZ. As long as he stays. Nope. He just needs to fall back a little bit more. That is a direct hit with 125 damage. Because the BZ has so much bloody HP. But still, you know, we get a whopping amount of assistance damage right there. So I'm not complaining. That is basically all of my assistance damage with that BZ that just got wiped out. So yeah, it looks like dealing damage and waiting for the right time when your team is also pushing, that is an art form that you have to kind of get into, or else you're just not going to have a very good time or a very effective time in your artillery piece. Oh yeah, that BZ is now cresting the ridgeline. He's going to hit that SC-130 PM. Am I going to be able to splash him? You know what? I'm going to splash. Barely do any damage, but if that BZ... No, the BZ ignores him completely. I thought the BZ was going to fire at him. But no. Turns out nobody wanted to kill the SU-130 PM. Oof. This is actually kind of a close game, but I don't think that we're going to lose this. We have way more HP than they have, and I finally want to have a hit on the ISU-152K. That's the tank that I want to kill. Just based on the sheer fact that it's a bloody tier 8 tank that should not be a premium, because they just took away the bloody gun that was on the tier 8 and they, you know, reworked it. Kind of nerfed it a little bit, but, you know, repurposed it. There we go. Well, that's going to be the final game of artillery that I probably play ever in my life again. I have no interest to ever play artillery in World Tanks or in my life again. I did give it a chance. I did want to try it out. I know it's not very fair in a certain way, because I haven't played other artillery pieces such as tier 9s, maybe tier 10s, maybe tier 6 or tier 7s, but I just don't feel like that it's very enjoyable for me. So nothing has really changed over the years, just that I have a lot more respect for artillery players that only play artillery because it's not fun. I really don't see the appeal in playing artillery. It's a class that I have the feeling Wargaming has abandoned, that a majority of the player base really dislikes and, you know, scapegoats a lot of the time, and that there's only a couple of players that really, really like it and they play it religiously, and the ones that do kind of play the artillery religiously, they play this thing a lot. And I don't even know, I hate this thing. I played it 13 times ever since I got it in the year 2011, and I still think it's pretty boring. But maybe I'm missing something. Maybe this is the artillery piece to play. But no thanks. I rather not play artillery anymore, and I think this has just given me the perfect opportunity to get rid of my remaining artillery pieces because I really don't care about artillery, and I think that artillery can just be played by somebody else and not by me. So that's one class down. I'm not going to be playing any more artillery. That is going to be done. I hope this video was still entertaining and somewhat interesting to watch, because it was a little bit of a different video. No great gameplays. Yes, I'm sorry about that. I think my damage total is on average 720. We do have 4 wins out of 5 games, so we only lost 1, but we lost a whopping 43,000 credits. But yeah, average experience actually went up, so that's not too bad. But I think artillery is just, like, the only reason I want to have artillery is just to unlock it and have it. You know, I don't really care about artillery all that much. I just want to have the artillery. I want to have it unlocked. I want to have it owned, and then I'm done with it. Anyway, I'm slowly but surely going over towards the state where I'm finishing up with my World of Tanks career. I'm not really getting the same enjoyment I got out of the game as I got the last couple of years. I took a bit of a time away from the game the last couple of months because of the, you know, the situation with the patch, and I realized that I didn't even miss the game all that much. But, you know, that's just my personal opinion. But I am going to be redirecting the focus on this channel a little bit in the near future. And World of Tanks is still going to be featured until the set date that I've mentioned in March of next year. We still have a couple of things that I want to do. I still want to complete a couple of reviews. I still want to play a couple of vehicles. I have a couple of ideas about tanks that are rarely played that I want to feature and I want to showcase and talk a little bit about why these tanks are just abysmal or why these tanks have kind of gone out of style. And yeah, I just want to have a good time. I'll play the game when I want to play it, and I'll hopefully enjoy the last couple of months that I still play this game actively, because I think afterwards I'm going to take a break from World of Tanks for a while, maybe check in every once in a while, every update, to just see what the game has developed into. But to be fair, I think with artillery, I am certainly done with artillery. Yeah, that is a story, a ship that has certainly sailed. So I see you guys on the next video. Until then, have a good one, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed.